This is All About Home Construction, and here's your hosts, Terry Cannell-Beck and Randy Blake.
That's right. What's up, Randy?
Just braving the cold. How about you?
That's right. Braving the cold on we're recording this actually on a Tuesday to go out on Saturday because, we don't know what the weather's going to do and we want to get a live show out. So here we are. Got a new show for everyone. So thanks for listening to us. All About Home Construction. And Randy at the VFW headquarters this morning, or this afternoon, I should say.
Yeah, sure am.
Well, good stuff.
We had a great turnout for the soup dinner, which made me feel real good.
Good. I have to ask.
Even brought in a few vegetarians.
Okay, I was going to say. Well, I had to ask what the best soup choice was.
Well, being I'm a meat eater, I like the vegetable beef myself.
Fair.
But there was a lot of people eat corn chowder. Then that winter soup with mushrooms and stuff, that went over. And gnocchi, I think that's how you say it.
Yep.
Little potato things. And tomato bisque. I really like the tomato bisque too.
That sounds good.
I don't like tomato soup, but the bisque was real good. So.
Well, good. Yeah, I'm
guys did a good job.
Yeah, it sounds really yummy, especially on a cold day like this. I mean, this whole week has been cold, so a nice warm soup still sounds good.
Well, it was, and they used sourdough bread for the grilled cheeses. And they used 3 different types of cheeses: American, provolone, and Goury, and which you could have all 3 cheeses if you wanted. So, yeah. But I'm sorry, I'm American. I like my American cheese.
Hey, and then you're not talking about the sliced cheese that's in a plastic slice or plastic thing either. You're talking about real cheese, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, we shredded our own cheese. So.
That's cool.
Because I don't want wood pulp in my cheese.
I'm with you. I mean, wood's good, but probably not to eat, right?
Well, it's in all your shredded cheeses.
Right.
I think it's a starch out. There's something that's got to do with wood pulp in it, starch or something. It keeps it from sticking together. And so always buy your block of cheese, shred it yourself. That way you got a little healthier eating. And that's how we roll here.
That's cool.
Now we do use the craft singles on hamburgers and stuff. So
more cooking tips with Randy. I like it.
Well, we got breakfast coming up first of the month. Last breakfast was pretty cold, but we had a pretty good turnout. The Valentine's meal will be on Valentine's Day, which is a Friday. That's going to be a little odd for us, but we thought we'd do it. And that is a buy a ticket dinner, which we've done in the past, which you've came to 2 of them, I believe.
You're right. Yep.
And we'll be having prime rib and charcuterie board. We're going to have 2 of the soups there and our salad bar and potato.
Nice.
So we'll make sure you're full. You won't leave hungry. That's for sure.
Great. Love to hear that. So, so again, get those tickets. Of course, you can contact us here, All About Home Construction. I'll get you in touch with Randy. If you on the Facebook page, All About Home Construction, he gets that. Of course, All About Home Construction at gmail.com if you want to email us during the week. And we can get you in touch. Of course, they can also swing by the VFW in the afternoons when you guys are there in the evenings, when the bar is open, and I guess they can call, right?
Yep.
Nice.
And we're trying our best. We've had our wine application in now for over 2 months and hadn't heard a word out of it. So hopefully we'll have our wine license by then.
Sweet. That'll go good with it.
And because dinner. We always have everybody wanting wine for Christmas and Valentine's.
Yep. Hey, you gotta have it's a nice dinner. You gotta have a nice glass of wine to go with it.
Correct. So, which we try to we try to do the best we could do for a bunch of rednecks.
I love it. It's good stuff. It tastes good. It's always a good time. So yeah, no, that you're not doing anything wrong. You're definitely making it happen. We appreciate it. So yeah, again, get on out to the VFW. That'll be on Valentine's night. So.
Yep, it is. And I've been working on making homemade cheesecake too.
Ooh,
that's going over pretty good.
I like a good cheesecake now. So yeah, that alone could get me in the door, you know.
All right. Oh, you got to bring a date, Terry.
I have to bring a date. My date is in. That's all right. She's in Florida. It's getting cold there, so maybe she'll get back up here. We'll make it work out. So anyway, you know, if it's gonna snow, you might as well be back in the mountains, right? But
yep, that's right.
No, we do appreciate all of our listeners, though. You know, Randy, one thing I got to do in all this cold weather over the last week, sitting at home and kind of trying to stay warm, you can't really get out and do stuff. I was able to upload or reload and sync up everything. So now all of the shows that were missing on YouTube are now on YouTube. So not only is the podcast rolling, all about home construction, wherever you get a podcast, now you can go through Google Podcast and see the ones that were missing before that we had uploaded. So everything should be up. There's over 100 episodes, Randy. You believe that? We got over 100 of them up there.
All right.
And
got to thank Terry for that.
Hey.
He's the man that makes the magic.
I love it. Well, and it may be that we get some more snow, then maybe I can really dive into the archives and we can start pulling some up back all the way back to 2013, 14, 15, and before. So we'll see what happens. But over 100 episodes right now on YouTube, as well as on Spotify or wherever else you get your podcasts. So yeah, many ways and all sorts of ways to listen to us. It's good stuff.
Yes, there is. And we thank everybody for listening to us.
Yeah, it means a whole lot. You know, whether you're listening to us on a Saturday morning on WATA or you're listening to us on the podcast whenever you're driving down the road, or maybe you even do both. I know we have some friends that do both. And that's the cool thing about the podcast is you can always go back and listen. And that's what we're here for, to help you out. So yeah, it's good stuff. So
yes, we are.
And so speaking of helping out, you know, trying to brainstorm some things, and you know, we always talk to our listeners, and throughout the week, you know, many times we'll get people coming up to us, Randy, right, and like saying, you know, like, well, what about this idea, or you know, like I have this problem, that kind of thing. And so we love to interact with our listeners, and then a lot of those questions will spur topics for the show, even a lot of times. But we're really just trying to engage more listeners, and because we appreciate them. And I got to thinking, like, it's been a while since we've done like tips, like homeowner tips. And when we give tips out, you know, like maintenance tips and things like that, here in the winter, like it's cool to give out summer tips to think about, but we're not in the summer, right? You're not going to be able to do some of the stuff outside that you would do in the winter. And so we thought it'd be cool to kind of come up with a list and talk about them. And then the goal is to put them out on Facebook so you guys can share each week or each month. You know, again, just some weekly tips, some monthly tips, and things like that. So I thought it'd be a fun little way to interact. And of course, we can, you know, we like contests around here, don't we, Randy?
Yep.
I like
we do.
Yeah, I like a good
but,
competition.
You know, the good thing is you're putting your list together to save homeowners money where they can do their own thing.
That's it. Well, that's the whole point. And, you know, to help everyone out. But since I like competition, for those, the first, you know, group of people, the first 12 people that send out, like, share this out once it does go live on the Facebook and the reels and all the stuff, you know, I still got some stickers, and so we can give another round of stickers away if that sounds good to you.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is.
So there we go. Now, not only are we going to help you save money and help your house out, you get a sticker. Can't go wrong there, can we?
Good.
So, so check that out when this goes live. Check out on the Facebook page, All About Home Construction on Facebook, and share it out. You know, maybe I'll throw in some extra. We'll see what happens. So, cool. Well, I'll tell you what. On that note,
I need to give them out at breakfast.
Well, you know what? Maybe that's what we'll do. Well, I've got a whole stack, so maybe we'll the next breakfast, because you've got another breakfast coming up in really just a few weeks from now. So maybe we'll come up with another fun contest to get that out too. So, tell you what, let's take our first break, and then that way we can come right back, All About Home Construction, and then we'll jump into the year-round maintenance calendar list. Thanks for listening to us. The Boone VFW Post 7031 is looking at making improvements to their Veterans Memorial Wall, and you can help. Here's Chuck.
We could do engraved bricks to cover the memorial. It's in honor of the veterans who have served and some that have given their all for our country. And that's the one thing that we feel as the VFW that we can do to honor those who have come before and those who are even present today.
But Chuck, what do we have to do to participate?
You don't have to be a war veteran in order to be a part of this memorial. It's just that you served.
What is the cost?
That fee is only $50, but it's a lifetime investment.
If you would like to help participate by honoring a family member, a friend, or a loved one, you can contact the Boone VFW Post 7031 at 828-264-9570. They are on VFW Drive, just off of State Farm Road here in Boone. Thank you for all that have served. That's right. All About Home Construction here on AM 1450 WATA 96.5 and 1450. And of course, on the podcast, All About Home Construction, wherever you find podcasts. And again, I uploaded all those YouTube, over 100 videos now, Randy. So there you go. And yeah, it's good stuff. So, well,
thank you.
Yeah, let's get into this year-round maintenance calendar. So again, just want to kind of get some tips. The way I've broke it up is, each month you got about, say, 4 months or so in a week. 4 weeks in a month. Let me get that right. And it's just one or two kind of simple things you can do each week, or do them all in the month, just to kind of like help yourself, help your house out, help keep expenses down. And some of these are kind of safety kind of things too. And so, by keeping this routine, it just kind of helps everyone. And, when you go in to do it all, it's a lot at once is overwhelming. And then a lot of people just don't do it. And so we broke it down. So it's fairly easy to, just do one or two things. Some of these takes a moment and you're done for the week. So what do you think? Get into it?
Yeah. And the thing about it is, might save you some money down the road.
That's the hope and plan, right? As we go through it. So
correct.
Well, I know December has already passed, but let's just go through the winter list. And so the first week of December, I've got on here to test all smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. Pretty straightforward, right?
Yes, it is.
A lot of people,
and, we put both in homes now because we don't know what people. Let's say the average homeowner buys a new home. They like to remodel their homes. Some people like gas, some people like electric. But by having both monoxide and carbon detectors in, smoke detectors, you've got the next person. I'm sorry, I know you're paying for the next person coming down, but you yourself might want to go gas,
Right.
Like I have a little gas heater in my house.
Right.
Like we got the VFW, and so I had this, my house didn't come with smoke detectors. And, but now I have both of them, a monoxide and a smoke detector.
Right. Well, you can get some for $20, $30. You can get some other ones that are more expensive, $50. $50 though, is not very much when you consider that it could save a life. You know what I mean? That's a pretty easy expense to bite when it comes to saving a life.
Yes, it is.
So,
cheap insurance for saving a life.
Exactly. Exactly. And then again, of course, the smoke detectors. A lot of people, don't change, and I've been guilty time or two of this myself, but like you don't change it until it starts to beep. And of course, they only beep at night for whatever reason in the middle of the night. But yeah, like don't. I mean, have you ever noticed that? Like when they do go off, it's only in the middle of the night. They never start beeping like on your way out the door for the day where you can stop and get a battery. It's always at the most inconvenient time.
It is.
And that little chirp.
About like my gas heater running out in the middle of the night.
Yeah, exactly. But again, just it takes a few minutes, right? Especially, I mean, if you only got a couple bedrooms right outside the bedrooms, you just walk over, boop, press the button. That's all you got to do for those.
That's it.
The second one,
and you can probably do it with a wooden spoon.
Exactly. Yeah, and yeah, perfect. Okay, so the second tip for the week.
The ladder.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's it. Like you don't have to spend a lot of time and energy on that one. The next one maybe a little more effort to do, but it's still a fairly easy task because you're only using your eyes, and that is checking your attic insulation. So this is one where you need to get in the attic, but just look around. Like, has things shifted? Has it settled? We've talked a lot, especially in the last several weeks. We've talked about how the with the vents and things like that, blowing some of that blown in insulation around. So just give it a visual look. Again, we're talking about the first part of winter. We're starting to get some really cold snaps. It's a good time to check your insulation.
Yes, it is, and that'll save you money down the road.
Right.
Especially with these storms
mm-hmm.
we've had, hurricane and stuff. Maybe you just had a little teeny leak in your house. Right, which no big deal is a pop nail on your shingle or a washer bad on your screw. But as that water drips down in it, it causes that insulation to collapse on itself. And by collapsing, it loses an R value in it. And it's not too bad on bats, but the blown in,
mm-hmm.
big difference.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And one way that we've talked about in the past is to check it without even going up in the attic. It is not near as accurate, but you can get a general idea when you get those first heavy frost, or if you get a light snow. Go out and you can see on your ceiling, you can see where things are melting and how they're melting and things like that.
That's it. You can see it. You can see the heat transfer from your attic.
Right. Exactly.
I know every time we step outside the wintertime, I'm going, look at that roof over there.
Yep.
You can see that just a spot in it that there's a heat loss coming through.
Exactly.
And believe it or not, that could be a bathroom vent, hood vent or,
mm-hmm.
fart fan. But just the pipe coming up and not being covered with insulation will allow your heat to be lost and go into your attic.
Exactly. Yep. So, well, there you go. So that's tip 2. Check the insulation in your attic. So, all right. Well, let's move on to the second week of December. Clean the dryer vent and the hose. That's one that a lot of people just don't even do at all, right?
It is. And that's extremely important for your dryer.
Yep.
But you know that aluminum hose and plastic hose is outlawed in North Carolina. You're supposed to have solid aluminum now for all hoses. And another thing that a lot of people don't realize is I've seen houses, big houses, and where the dryer vents run over 20 foot.
Yeah.
That dryer vent,
mm-hmm.
and every time you get an elbow, let's say you put an elbow in it, you lose 20% of your volume of air that it pushes out. So that creates an extra load on your dryer.
Yep.
And it increases your electric bill.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we all know that you got to come out and you got to do a 90. But if you go with a smooth pipe, that helps that transition a lot faster.
Sure. Well, and also when you get that out, like it is a potential fire hazard as well. not only is it pushing out more, it's kind of clogging things up and could cause the dryer to wear out faster and overheat and things like that. So yeah, definitely just clean out those vents and those hoses. Make sure, in the wintertime too, like, now I know you use the washer and dryer all year round, but I mean, I've seen some instances where like squirrels or something, mouse, have tried to get into it. And so just that's a good thing too, is the outside vent. Just sort of just visually look at. You can open up the little flaps and just see what you can tell in there. I've heard of all
I seen a guy on Facebook the other day took a leaf blower and blowed his out.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
It was amazing what he got out of it.
Yep.
I mean, that's a little hard for elderly to move their dryer so they can blow it out.
Right. But yeah, no, it's
I think they do make brushes that will help. So.
Yeah. There you go. So a little more work than some of the others, but again, by doing it once a year, it's helping you out a lot. Another one, just inspect the interior for paint touch-ups. You're stuck in the house on a lot of cold winter days, so use that in December. Use that day to go around and check. Okay, this place is behind the door. The doorknob's rubbing it. It's always getting warm. Maybe we should check that and paint that. And, if you keep it painted and touched up, it's going to be a lot easier in the long run. All right, you want to move on to week 3?
It will. Yep.
Well, week 3, testing those GFI outlets. How do you do that, man?
Push the button.
Yeah, that's a hard one, isn't it?
And that'll help you out. Yeah, but that's all right. They're important, especially when you got receptacles in line.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You might have one GFI and you might have 2 or 3 receptacles behind it. Yeah, in a line. That protects them too.
Right.
So just check stuff like that.
Yep.
Especially, around your sinks, bathrooms.
Exactly.
That's the last thing you need to do is get electrocuted in your kitchen or bathroom.
Sure. Exactly. Yeah. So again, that's an easy one. Press a button, check those GFI outlets. And while you're in the bathroom, go ahead and use that time to check the bathroom ventilation. So
Yep.
Explain that to me. So a lot of people, as far as the state building code is concerned, the bathroom ventilation, the fans in the bathroom are not for smell. They're for moisture and steam, right?
Correct. And, but see, moisture in conjunction with lint or dust will fill up the vents on it.
Mm-hmm.
There again, that's causing the fan to overwork and not come up to its full potential volume of air it's supposed to take out.
Right. Yep.
And because and that was another thing I was talking about with that air leak or that we see behind the VF or behind the radio station.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a bathroom vent.
Yep.
And then you touched on it with the first one on check your insulation. Make sure your ventilation fan has got insulation over it.
Exactly. Yes.
Save you some energy there.
Yeah.
Most people don't think about it, but if you open your door and it does a vacuum, when you open your door, it will actually suck cold air back through your bathroom vent into that bathroom.
Right. Yep.
So that is an air exchange unit, just like your hood fan on your stove.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Week 4, replace and clean HVAC air filters. And so again, this is right before the guests come over for Christmas time and, check those out. Replace those HVAC filters.
Now that's a good one too.
Yeah. I mean, that's one that, again, we don't think about it until we realize it's not working. And any kind of clogged filters, even if it still works, it's running that machine. It's abusing that machine, right? It's making it work harder.
It is, and it's going to raise your electric bill.
Yep. And
you have the option of putting HEPA filters in,
mm-hmm.
charcoal filters in, not just the regular fiberglass filters.
Right.
Which you have different options that you can use.
Yep. Exactly.
Make sure you get the one that fits. So when it sucks, the fan comes on, it does suck air through the vent instead of around the edges.
Yep.
We went somewhere one time and they said, "Would you replace our vents for our furnace?" I said, "Sure." And so before I went to the Lowe's, I opened the closet door and looked in, and whoever put the vents in, the fan vents was 2 inches longer than what was manufactured for it. And I'm going, the only thing they were doing was blowing dust all through the house.
Yep.
Recirculating dust. How about that?
Exactly. Yep. Oh, yeah. That's a good one. It's a good one. And again, fairly easy, right? Like you got to get the filters, but changing them out really only takes a few moments.
Takes you longer to take the screws out of the vent cover than it does to change the filter.
Exactly.
Not unless it's a slide-in filter. Some furnaces have slide-in.
Yep. Exactly. Cool. All right. Well, let's move on into January of winter. Week 1, circuit breaker. Check your circuit breaker box. What kind of checks are you going to give on that?
Well, generally you don't have to do much, but look and see if you've got a trip breaker. And that's a big one. And if you do have a trip breaker, and you might have to call an electrician on to solve that problem, because you don't know what's causing it to trip.
Right.
Okay, could be a GFI going bad.
Mm-hmm.
And today, what do they call those new breakers we have today? And I can't think of it now, but they have a tendency to go off just for no reason whatsoever.
Right.
And they're quite expensive.
Right.
And I'll think of it here in a minute.
Well, one thing too, I know like you're talking about the electrical part, but while you're checking it, you got to get into it. And I think one mistake a lot of homeowners do is pile stuff in front of it. Like you put something in front so you can't get to that circuit breaker. If there's ever an issue, a fire or something like that, you need to be able to cut that off fast. And if you're in commercial, in a commercial setting, you can't block those breaker boxes. And it's a good habit in a residential as well. So while you're there, make sure that you can get to it easy if you need to.
Those breakers are arc fault breakers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Arc fault. Yeah.
And it took me a few years to really get over on why you had to have arc fault breakers. And then after I had like I said, that 64 model
with
house
dust,
of mine, where it leaks air, the dust, and the receptacle went bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad it went bad, because I wouldn't have knew about all that dust that was in that box that had been going through the walls for years.
Exactly.
And people don't think about it, but that arc fault breaker, if you put a plug in it and that plug's not all the way in, and it gets a little bit of dust that goes down on it, it will kick that breaker off. That's how sensitive it is.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it is. I mean, but here I'm looking at the price of arc fault breakers, $59 compared to $6 for a regular breaker.
Sure. But again, if it saves your house from burning down, that's money well spent. So.
Well, people talk about how the cost of house being so expensive.
Mm-hmm.
These arc fault breakers are code.
Yep.
And, they're always going to be working on code changes in electric and plumbing. I dread to see the new code changes in construction.
Yep.
You can believe we've never had affordable housing because of codes. But the thing about it is, this is saving lives.
Right.
And that's important too.
I'm with you.
That's cheap. That is cheap insurance to save a life.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, another one for that same week, you're checking your circuit breakers. Clean those range hoods, the filters on those. Change them out. We talked about that with the HVAC the week before. Go ahead and change out those filters. Clean those out on the range hoods as well. So again, not a hard process. especially changing the filters on those. So, yeah. The next one, week 2 of go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, don't let them build up with too much grease.
Yes. Yeah.
And
that's
their job to catch grease.
Yeah, nasty to clean out then.
And well, especially in a septic tank, and the buildup in your pipes and stuff, even in city pipes.
Yep.
You have a problem with them.
Exactly. Yep.
And so once a month you should clean them once a month. Run them through your dishwasher.
Yeah. There you go.
If you don't have a dishwasher, get a pot of boiling water. That way it breaks the oil out.
Right. Yeah. Good. All right. Week 2. This one's not for everybody, but those that have a garage door, check those safety features. Make sure you can get out. There's nothing worse than, and I've heard many people say, like, their door, something messes up and they can't get in, or sometimes they can't get out of the garage. And so check those safety features. Make sure everything's working, not seized up.
That's really not too bad on garage doors today, but
Sure.
one thing you want to keep in mind is maintain your rollers.
Yep. Yes, keep them clean.
A lot of people, they do fail over time.
Yeah, exactly. Like one thing I noticed though was just when they get dirty, like just grimy from dust and stuff, then because they're a bearing inside those, and so it's moisture out. Sometimes there's moisture, and then it collects more dust, and just to make sure everything's working smoothly. So. The Boone VFW Post 7031 is looking at making improvements to their Veterans Memorial Wall, and you can help. Here's Chuck.
We could do engraved bricks to cover the memorial. It's in honor of the veterans who have served and some that have given their all for our country. And that's the one thing that we feel as the VFW that we can do to honor those who have come before and those who are even present today.
But Chuck, what do we have to do to participate?
You don't have to be a war veteran in order to be a part of this memorial. It's just that you served.
What is the cost?
That fee is only $50, but it's a lifetime investment.
If you would like to help participate by honoring a family member, a friend, or a loved one, you can contact the Boone VFW Post 7031 at 828-264-9570. They are on VFW Drive just off of State Farm Road here in Boone. Thank you for all that have served. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA, and again on the podcast, all about home construction. Going over some tips. Again, it sounds like a lot, but once we break this down, Randy, I think we can pass it out for people, and people can kind of go through it and, do 2 of these a week. It's not so bad, right?
Correct. And it's not going to take hours to do it.
So,
and, that's the big thing.
Exactly. And, like I said, breaking it up into chunks makes it easy. So, all right, well, let's start here because this is kind of where we're at in the calendar with this week. And that is running water in unused sinks and tubs. So maybe you've got a sink in the basement or maybe an extra bathroom that you don't really use that often. Run water in it and make sure that you kind of flush that system out a little.
Oh yeah. One thing you want to make sure is that you keep water in that trap. Even your toilet.
Mm-hmm.
You know how we've talked about people winterizing their homes.
Yep.
Well, some people don't winterize their homes, but they keep their water off, and all the traps, all the toilets, the water evaporates out. Well, then they're not going to freeze with the water evaporate out, but they're going to let the methane gas back in the house.
Exactly. And you can smell it when you walk in those houses sometimes.
Oh, yes, you can. But it happens, and you just got to do it. Like I say, we winterize a few houses, and we make sure there is no water, that all the RV antifreeze is and the traps are full.
Exactly. Okay. So another one that I like this one on this list because especially this time of year, it's always cold this time of year. And that is inspect visible pipes for leaks. Very crucial during the cold weather, But, you know, a lot of times we get these little bitty pinhole leaks that we don't realize are leaking. You know, we see the big ones, right? You know, like the faucet that completely stopped up and then it freezes and busts and pouring water everywhere. Some of those are obvious, right? But there's a lot of small leaks that sometimes we don't know until they've became big problems.
Yeah, especially with acid water on the copper. That will do it.
Yep.
And I know in my house, right after we bought it, it's got the original copper in there. And but I had a small pinhole leak.
Yeah.
And I knew it was leaking, but it took a little bit to find it because the spray was so fine that I finally had to get a piece of paper to hold up there just so I could find it. You never saw a mist or anything, but it was just real teeny.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but we got it.
Yep.
And but they make a clamp that can go over the copper lines to seal it up, and that's what I did with it.
Yep.
And it's still, that clamp is still there today. One of these days, I'm going to replace all my plumbing with PEX. So
nice. Yep. Well, another one too is while we're talking about that is ice makers in refrigerators. I've seen a lot of those need to repair floors, and you don't realize it because that little bitty pinhole squirts out just a little bit of water, but then all that water finally catches up and adds up and causes a huge mess. So again, just kind of watch that one. Just look for any visible leaks.
That's a big one.
Yep. Yeah.
And you might not ever move your refrigerator, but every time that ice machine turns on, then it moves that line just a little. I've even seen copper lines wear out where the hole's been drilled in the floor.
Yes. Yep. So, well, there you go. All right. The next one, week 4, depends on who you are. Some of these are kind of easier and or may not apply, but that is clean your garbage disposals. Take some ice cubes, run it through there, and then follow it up by some citrus peel like a lemon or a lime or something. And then you just run the cold water down it and grind up that mixture a little bit, and it helps clean those blades. Somewhat sharpens the blades as well. So that's a good, easy one to do. And then if you have
and that ice, it does a good cleaning job.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And make sure you run adequate water after you get through disposal, because you want to flush it on down the line.
Exactly. Yep. Perfect.
People don't think about that.
Perfect.
But if it don't go far down the line, then it's going to cause you trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Later on.
And then another one, check the water softener. If you have a water softener, check those levels if you got to add the salt. I know some of those filter systems for water has like a UV light. You got to change the bulb out every year or every couple of years. So that's another one if you've got one of those systems. So then there, Andy, that brings us into the week February for 4 more weeks. So for week 1, the 2 things that we're going to do: vacuum air vents and returns, and then test the water shutoff valves. All right, tell me about vacuuming. Air returns and vents.
That's to keep them clean. Save you money from electricity and overload on the fans. People don't think about stuff like that. It's not like you're going to change your furnace vent out, and make sure you're pull your floor vent up if it's in the floor, because maybe you got little youngins dropping stuff down,
pets
like pennies, pets, anything.
Yeah.
And I've seen it all. And believe it or not, sometimes, I know you've seen the commercials on TV where they cleaning your furnace vents, the duct lines and stuff. You don't have anything that's long enough to go all the way back to the furnace. But if you take your vent off and you run your vacuum cleaner down there, you will be sucking out some dust.
Right.
And that dust is not from, as long as you keep your filter clean, it won't be coming from your furnace.
Exactly.
But it can settle. just the normal household dust in the summertime. If you don't run if you don't have air conditioner, a lot of people up here don't.
Yep.
And
cool.
Then that dust can settle in it, and that's what you want to get out.
That's it. Again, the next one, test the water shutoff valves. Pretty self-explanatory there. So week 2 for February, clean those bathroom exhaust fans that we remember we checked them. We've ran them. Now we're making sure they're clean in February. Check the cabinet hardware and hinges. That's a pretty good one. Again, that we don't worry about, and you'll see a loose one. It's like, oh, I'll fix it later. But no, go ahead in February. Go ahead and take the time to check those and clean them and make sure they're working and make sure you don't have to replace them or tighten them up.
Put a little oil on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Remember, your granny always had 3-in-1 oil.
Yep. There you go. Yep. So. Well, cool. All right.
It's a light oil and doesn't leave residue.
Yeah, exactly. And again, the biggest thing I see is doorknobs for, the cabinet doorknobs getting loose. Just take a screwdriver and tighten it up. You get one out, you get a screwdriver out. It won't take just a moment to do all of them if you need it. Typically you're not going to need to, but, okay. Next one, deep clean kitchen sink and drains, and then lubricate the door hinges. So while you're talking about that 3-in-1 oil in February, you're going to lubricate the door hinges with that. Would be a great one. Again, one that people probably don't even do, but it'll certainly make things easier for you. And, again, deep clean those kitchen sinks and the drains.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one right there.
Yeah.
And the reason I say it's a big one because more people use the dishwasher today than they wash in their sink.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So believe it or not, there's a lot of bacteria buildup in your sink.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of bacteria, not really bacteria, but along that same lines, one of the tips that you've given us in the past, not so much on the drains, but while we're talking about deep cleaning the drains, chemicals are rough on the septic system, but you had a good tip in the past about using brewer's yeast or baker's yeast to clean out not to clean out, but to help out the septic tanks.
Yep. Matter of fact, I use yeast about once a month.
Yep.
It's pretty cheap, and brewer's yeast is actually the best.
Yeah.
And I've seen some people that's had septic problems, and we use Rid-X too.
Right. Yep.
We use Rid-X once a month, regardless. But Rid-X helps your tank.
Right.
Brewer's yeast, as you put it in your line, will help your line too.
Yep.
Your sewer lines.
So again, after doing those deep cleans, put some kind of yeast product in there, and that yeast will help eat up some of that, help break down some of that waste.
Yes, it will.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we just got a few more minutes, and it's time to close out week 4 here. Check sign of pest. So some kind of, I know we think of that in the summertime especially, and that's one we'll talk about again when we get to the summer list one day. But, again, what kind of insects or animals, are trying to burrow up when it's cold? What's trying to get in the house?
Getting the mice.
Yeah,
the big
that's what I'm thinking.
I'm a true believer in those mice boxes.
Mm-hmm.
The federal government outlawed the round pellets. Remember the rat pellets?
Yep.
And I'm going, well, that sort of got me excited. But after I got to reading it, a lot of those there's wax on those round pellets.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the adult rats will carry them back to the nest, but they won't eat them, and the babies eat them, so it does kill the babies.
Right.
But I had a dog actually get poisoned one time from the round ones.
Exactly.
And so, now with the bait traps, they're square and they got a pin in there, so the rat has to eat it. Yeah. It can't carry it out. And you can actually make a homemade one out of an 1.5-inch PVC pipe with a T.
Okay.
And a coat hanger, and drop them down in there so that it's continuously feeding it. But mice and rats move all winter. Mm-hmm. They don't hibernate, and they're always on the look. And even if you've got a cat in your house, there's still going to be mice in your house.
Right. Yep.
And people don't think anything about it, but I was cleaning my cabinets the other day, and I'm going, there's a tea bag, how the string was hanging down.
Yes.
And a mouse had actually took a tea bag up in between the cabinets, and the string was hanging down.
Yep. They'll do it.
And I have 2 cats.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, well, the last one on the wit list is to tighten up those loose handles or doorknobs, on doors. We talked about the week before doing or the 2 weeks before doing the cabinets and hinges and stuff. Now you do it to tighten up the doorknobs and hardware on your interior and exterior doors. Well, Randy, that pretty much gets us all through winter. Again, just we'll put this out on the wonderful Book of Faces and make it so that you can look through these. And again, just take 2 of these a week. And they're pretty simple things, and it'll help you out in the long run, right? So,
yes, it will.
Well, good stuff. Well, Randy, I'm glad. Thanks for listening to our podcast all about home construction. Our show airs live on WATA Radio in Boone, North Carolina every Saturday morning. Check out our Facebook page, All About Home Construction. Leave your tips and comments there. Also, subscribe, like, and share this with a friend.